And we are back. It is Lyrical Ones, episode 47. I just got to point this out. One of my close friends, brother from another, every time he watches this, he's like, why every time I watch one of your episodes, Affluent always got to be eaten? And I was like, the only reason why he said that is because he suffers from, let me see, fear of hearing people eat, hearing people chew. It's called, it's not like a real one. Like it's like it's one of those kind of people have self-diagnosed and created it, but it's called, I think, misophonia. Individuals with misophonia often report they are triggered by oral sounds, and they think that it has something to do with survival instincts embedded in the DNA around hearing animals growl and be ready to try and kill somebody. And so now people become very emotionally responsive or triggered, or physiological response given the sound of someone eating. So I used to always, two things I'd always do: eat on the phone and drink a lot of water. And since they hated Montel Jordan, this is how we do it. Every time it played, no matter where I was at, I called him and put that on the phone. So misophonia, for those that don't know, in my personal relationship to people who have it. So furthermore, episode 47, Lyrical Ones, we are back. Affluent,
Yes, sir.
how are you doing?
I'm well. I'm out of witness protection, feel me? And it's good to be home. I love the Bay, where I'm from. More than that, I love Hunters Point, San Francisco. Um, love the inner city of San Francisco. Some people call it the real San Francisco. Um, where people grow up, families and things. Uh, yeah, I'm doing good, man. It's a great day. Another Wednesday, and it's just wild as things change in the world. I'm just happy to be, you know, surviving and thriving as best I can. How
That's
you
real.
doing today?
I just want to say, when you said the real San Francisco, right? There's people who have lived their whole lives in the real San Francisco and have never seen uh the Sutro Baths where it used to exist, right? They ain't never been to Golden Gate Bridge, right? They ain't never been to Nob Hill, Pacific Heights, right? They don't know nothing about any of the iconic things you may associate with San Francisco, because in the real San Francisco, it's a whole nother universe. And there are no landmarks. There are no places. There's landmarks for us who come from the real San Francisco. Of course, there's definitely landmarks, but they're not what you see on movies, right? They're not what you see on film, or every time you see a trailer for a film in San Francisco, it's usually like, you know, the trolley cars, you got the cable cars, and then you got like hills all around downtown, but that's just a small segment of San Francisco, right? So the real San
Yeah,
Francisco, yes, we from the real
16th,
San Francisco.
16th Emperor Trail, the murals on Alamany, or the flea market, or slash
Farmers
the
Market.
slash farmers market, uh, the Western Union slash check cashing slash Metro PCS spot on Third and Paloux. Depending on the decade you saw that building, feel me?
The decade, yeah, that's key.
I
Yeah,
just found out that the 15 bus stop, I mean the 15 bus exists again.
it do.
The 15 Muni exists again, but it don't go. It's got a different route now. It
So
it crosses
those that
over.
don't
It
know,
crosses over Third Street now.
what this is a blasphemy. Those that don't know, I am Cineo, rapper, co-host of this incredible podcast. And the reason why I wanted to touch on the past, as you couldn't tell, was carrying over on Affluent's shoulder, right? Those that are listening, I'll give a description and you figure it out. You tell me, right? There's a bird that has a yellow beak and a red kind of bill on top of his head, right? But
Red
he also has a
Crown.
red crowned blue body, right? Now, those that know, you'll know. If you don't know, you'll find out later. He has a very distinct laugh, and he could chop some things down. So just be mindful. We might go into the past quite a bit in this episode, because before we got on, we was having discussion after discussion about all these different touch points of not only like nostalgia, but kind of who we are, right? The foundation of who we are, the grounding, the base of where we come from, right? We come from a very unique place, and we try to share that and give people insight. Also through a healing lens, right? Not to say we perfect. We ain't perfect by no means, but we do try to keep wellness and community and togetherness at the forefront, and paying respects to the lyrical one, who you are as a person, right? And so, we might just beat it over the head in terms of the past, but that's just us starting things off. Anything of note, we talked last week about some things that were very intense, things that were very, we called in the focus of self advocacy, those that got to check out the live show. And I've had that continue with me bringing that up to the people in my community, right? Advocacy, being able to feel comfortable speaking up for oneself and how that plays a role, but also, kind of in a reflective mode
Yeah.
of, the just taking a look at where you've come from, right? Taking a inventory, self inventory of, what how far have you traveled, right? Because this is a journey, and I feel like we were doing that before. It's kind of going through the journey for ourselves around like these little noteworthy things. And from self advocacy, which is speaking for oneself, now speaking in the reflective sense, right? Let's reflect. Anything of, merit, concern, anything on your mind that you want to bring up before we kind of dive deeper into where we may go.
I think for me, when I think about like my identity and where I come from, uh, yesterday was a big day for me and my loved ones. Celebrating my late father's birthday, and when I think about like identity, and who I am, and the things that were passed on to me, I feel like it was a lot of intellectual property, um, perspective of the world, of loved ones, um, family being an important thing, but also like integrity and like humor, and like it's really cool just to see the generation after me, um, receive some of that, intellectual property, the intelligence, the humor, the wonderment, the willingness to discover new things. And it's a, it's a great life. It can be a short life. It can be a long life. Like whatever, time you get, um, taking into account the themes of my life. Some of those, themes are, I think, loyalty and trust and community and support. Um, those things started when I think, started when I was young. Having grown up in a large family with, distant cousins and things. Um, I call it extended family, but like we just call it family because we used to see each other so much. We all grew up on the hill, and then maybe people moved away and spread out a little bit, but we continue to kind of see those folks during the summer, and summer camps, and recreational activities and sports camps and things like that. And so they were just like my family. We were before the show started, we were kind of diving into the past, and things that we remembered, and things that were um, important to us in a sense, in terms of you know things that we invested in the past. And like for me, I always appreciated actually my math notes, because they were like, I don't know, for whatever reason my poetry was like math. And so when I would write poetry, it would be telling me a story. And so when I look back at my math notes, it would tell me the story, and like take me back to this time, in these moments. um and like I remember like if I look through my like statistics notes, um, like it would start off as like something that was like foreign, and I would have to like read through to like get a clear picture of what's going on in the notes. And it's interesting because I have to look at the language and say, oh, it's my shorthand, so like can I understand what I was thinking? Um, and so same thing when I look back at old poetry or old notes, like how clear is it when I paint a picture or tell a story? And so as I was reading some old notes, Cineo was able to like get the picture and and visualize where and when I was referring to in my notes. And you know it's cool because like you knew exactly what I was talking about, like halfway through. It's like, hold on, like I know that, right? So and then also able to like put yourself mentally, visually, remember what the area looked like. And when we look at themes in our lives, sometimes those themes can remind us of the past, and good or bad, but also we can, if we take what we learned in those themes, like it can help us navigate things ahead, events of the future. And like I think for me, when it comes to understanding, we don't know how infinite the future is, but with the path, the past that's finite, you know you have a limited amount of notes that you can look through. So at some point you can look through as much as possible, and you find that memory and say, these things, these lessons I learned, and these are the things that I've been using to navigate so far, and right, and like what can I add to my repertoire, from the themes of my life. um I think when it comes to like being there for people, enduring for friends, and learning how to not overextend, um I learned that from my life, but also then from watching my family navigate community as well. So it's like it's cool, like as we talked about advocacy last week, to say, well, sometimes you got to acknowledge your own limit, and say, okay, let's go stay in the past. um that advocacy, right, is somebody else has got to take up that mantle, right? Or you got to help somebody else speak up for themselves.
Nah, that's, I mean, it's funny you say that because when you said the notes referring to what we were talking about earlier, off camera, off screen, off any platform,
Backstage.
backstage, it reminded me of the conversation we had last week talking about conflict managers, right?
Correct.
Where that reflection of having access, because we talk about healing, and it's not because, like, I just want to get this straight. We not preaching. We just speaking on the practice of life. We speaking on like the formality and exercise of like how do you just get through the day to day and what has helped us, right? We speaking from a perspective, because I was jokingly saying this, but it's a way of me saying it jokingly, but also highlighting your own like success, right? As a black man from San Francisco, where
Mm.
as much as you may see black men in San Francisco, you don't really see black men in San Francisco. And like coming from the neighborhoods that we come from, right, that number dwindles more and more. And so when you sitting here, right, and you got that bird perched on your shoulder, right, it's like the best kind of middle finger to all the people who try to oppress us and tell us that, in the most indirect ways. Because again, San Francisco's form of racism is indifference and systemizing like the oppression, right? And it's like, I brought up this documentary that I hope people get the chance to see. James Baldwin did a documentary based in San Francisco, and he was in Bayview's Hunters Point talking to black people back in the '60s, saying, how do they get you out here? And he's like, they not gonna tell you to your face, they gonna get you with this pen and paper, with this pencil and pad. And I'm like, for
Mm-hmm.
you to be the person that you are, to show up the way that you are right now, right? you know, I say my jokes, right? Like, I got an elephant in my backyard. My backyard got a backyard, whatever. But in reality, it's to highlight what you've had to go through and overcome to be here with us, to say, like, yeah, me.
There's a blue butter on my shoulder. Should I kill it? Man, there's a blue butter on my shoulder. Should I kill it on my shoulder?
Exactly, right? And it's the thing that not everybody's going to pick up on the references, and you could go and discover, because that's the power of Google. But more importantly, right, when we're talking about healing, we're talking about the your ability to live, be present in a moment, and enjoy yourself, right? To find joy in it. We not putting it on a metric system or a value system beyond your own personal interpretation of joy, right? Because we can't define success for you. All we can define that we share is we've been through different levels of harm. We've been through different levels of toxicity. We've been through different levels of oppression. And as we navigate those different things, we have to like call on our community, our friends, our family. He just laid out. And for those that can't see, the bird is laid out right now. But it's those things that we do to continually re-engage, to find sustainability in these spaces, right? Because San Francisco
Yeah,
is a place that is a city that is now, it's representative of something larger in scale and scope across the world, right? And it's like the complexities of living in an urban environment where all these economic opportunities, people trying to get their money, get their job, whatever. But also there's people that exist within that, and we're represented for that. We're represented for all those individuals creating their own space within a space, or trying to maintain space within a space. Because yeah, last week we talking about a lot of harm being caused in our community, and our struggles to find a resolution, to navigate and to find peace in it. And that self-advocacy was a tool set, but also in that tool set we're talking about healing, we're talking about reflection in a thoughtful manner, because that's something that's not always granted to us. We're not always able to have access to it, because life sometimes doesn't allow you to look back or to just inform yourself from what just happened. And so in this space, it's so important to be able to have that, because yeah, like we talking about the past, but we also reflecting and highlighting and honoring who we are now and where we're going, right? Because that is the real thing. And it's like we could sit here and get on week after week and do all these other things in the context
mm,
of what may be accustomed to a podcast space. But I feel like it's important for us to make these things consistent, for us to have this ground and to have this space to come back together, to uplift people, to highlight people within our community or that is within connection to us, because it's like what more do we have, what more do we got, right, than to kind of enjoy our company, to enjoy each other's space and time, and
yeah,
uplift people, where oftentimes we find it's easier to pull someone down, disrespect, destroy, right? It's like, if we're going to destroy something, let's put something in its place that's better. But a lot of times I feel like what we see around us is just the destruction for the sake of destruction. And it's like, nah, we not I'm not trying to perpetuate that, right? And so as the bluebird sits on his shoulder, right, I mean, he ain't gotta kill it because it look like a happy bird. And when you hear that bluebird's laugh, it brings joy. Or if it goes on for too long because someone just does it forever, then it might be annoying, but someone's gonna find some humor in it, and I think that's key.
yeah. I always the laughter is the expression of happiness. Sometimes people, got nervous laughs and anxious laughs and things like that. But for myself, right, like I wasn't always laughing because something was amusing, or I thought something was, humorous to me. Sometimes I was laughing out of joy. Um, and so for me, this bird, reminds me of that. That I could laugh
Laughing
out
out
of,
of joy.
yeah, laughing out of joy. Um, Reminding me to do that. I just happened to be wearing the same colors as the bird today. Um, it just turned out that way.
Synchronicity.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah. I just call it alignment.
Some
Where
people, it's just meant to be.
yeah, is because like I've been wearing this all day, and I just come across the bird, in the last hour. Um,
I mean, it's funny
yeah,
you say that, laughing out of joy, because the thing is, sometimes, like, I don't know if you've ever heard this or been in this situation. What's so funny? What you think is funny, right? And
right,
it's
right.
like, it ain't
Yeah,
that I found it funny. I'm laughing because I'm happy. right? I'm laughing, I'm smiling because I'm finding joy in the moment, right? And
Right.
we had a little moment where we're talking about, to bring it in modern terms in the geek culture, right, or the pop culture, because it ain't no more geek culture, it's pop culture, right? Sam Wilson, aka Captain America, right, aka Papa Doc, right? He
Oh
went
yeah,
to
that is how we
yeah,
got here.
he had two parents, right? He went to a private school, and we were saying like how there was a period of time when it was like if you had joy and you try to bring it into hip hop, because I mean think about it, right? B Rabbit's whole stance in what he was saying as his rebuttal to what was going on, right? To get out ahead of it was I'm gonna call out everything you are, right? And in this audience and in this stage, you Clarence, right, really good parents, right, you went to Cranbrook, that's a private school, right? There's all these good touch points of like you had a healthy upbringing, so what are you doing here with us, right? What do your level of success and joy, we're going to discredit, devalue, and diminish because we're broken people, right? So what you trying to put off, right? You being fake about it, right? And it's no disrespect to Captain America. I love Captain America. But at that moment in time, Captain America, right? Anthony Mackie, the actor, he portrayed Clarence, and it's like that duality of like, yeah, we come from these beginnings that is like, on one end, we always push for authenticity. So that's
Right.
that's one thing, right? Being authentic, right? Because if you owned it and you were just who you were, and it was like smug, right? And just being, I'm gonna just talk my mess and rap, maybe the events of B Rabbit getting on your line would have went much differently. But because you was faking a funk and coming with this sense of aggression and this like trying to identify with this crowd and this audience, then you get called out for who you really are underneath it all. And it's like, oh, this he's been putting on portrayal. This is an actor, right?
Putting on airs.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? And so it's just one of those things where I think that it's important for people to like really pay attention, right? To like, are you being authentic? Right?
Man,
Like,
that
are you being true to yourself?
right. And I think, I think about like I was talking about it last week actually, how there's an entertainer from Toronto who never pretends to be, a lyricist, right? He never pretends to be from the street, never pretends to be hood or a thug or a gangster.
I mean, he didn't have to do. He actually did start doing it until that's the like the ironic thing about it, right? Like, and people want to call it out as saying he's being fake when he does it. What people don't realize is when the stakes are higher, people do try and put attempts. Like, think about Toby Nwigwe, right? When he's saying I'll defend my family with a gun, he's not saying I'm a gangster, I'm a killer. He's saying I have this right that affords me the ability to protect myself and my family so we can live on in case someone wants to do me harm, because jealousy does kill. Envy does kill. There are people, right, who they will see your success and what they want to give you is your demise, right? And that comes in a lot of different forms, right? You could be in school and they could be like, "Oh, you the teacher's pet because you do very well in class, right? You participate, you get good grades, and maybe the teacher doesn't realize how they're feeding into the oppressive structure of saying, you see, this student here does such a good job, right? Be more like them." And it's like, oh man, now you made me an antagonist in someone else's life, and now they're like, you know what? I'm gonna just hate on you. You
Right.
just a teacher's pet. Oh, you a know it all. And it's like, nah, I enjoy this subject, but now, right, you got something going on where you want to perpetuate your feelings on me. You projecting whatever you got going on, where I'm just in my own little bubble, like I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do based off of what people told me. Right. And so authenticity also feeds into, a Toronto rapper who, Malfoy, I'll call him Malfoy for those that don't know, you know, I mean,
But he's an
disrespect to
entertainer.
Malfoy. Yeah, he's an entertainer, and that's what he's doing. He's entertaining people, and we place these levels of like, uh, these structures, these rules, and it's okay.
Labels.
Yeah, all these labels, right, to like create whatever identity we see, and it's like, oh, he talks about, oh, why he's talking about having guns? It's like, well, The man's a multi-million-dollar operation who many people rely on, and I'm sure there are people who want to see him fail, see him fall, because they may have felt like that could have been me, that should be me, right?
But he's in the end, right? He may not be living out the music. He may just be performing it, and it's okay if you as an entertainer are a performer because that's your craft, right? Your persona, your attire and apparel, your fashion, your presentation, your delivery and cadence, right? Your vocals, right? All of that, right, is a part of, right, the persona, the of of the celebrity, right? And so like at any point they can choose to switch it up however they want, and there it's remain authentic to his role as an entertainer, and move on to being whoever he is at home, whoever he is amongst his loved ones, right? And still be authentic and be sincere to to that life as well. um and right in the same way, right, he's basically code switching, right, at his job,
Yeah. Or speaking,
right,
learning, he's knowing the language to speak in different places.
right. Right. Yes, that's basically what he's doing. He comes outside the house and he speaks a certain way to get to get a certain reaction, to be treated a certain way, and to navigate and execute whatever it is he set out to do within his career. Um, and yeah, it would be great if none of us had to do that, um, and people were accepted for who they are. I think for me, I always appreciate folks in Australia, um, because they cuss just a little bit more and they not accommodating to people's feelings or what people think is manners. Um, and I appreciate that, and it's refreshing to me, to have that kind of genuineness and transparency, and truth in conversations and interactions within community. Have folks on, in work, who are from Australia, and then, got few few friends, you know, who I play football with or who I rap with, from Australia. Shout out to um, the homie BX, and it's really, cool to like see people from different places and the culture that they bring, that can add to your life, right? To add, enrichment to your experience as a human, just by interacting and knowing, more about them and what they've been through.
Oh, definitely, definitely, definitely. Yeah, it's a it's something important to highlight, right? Because me, my level of authenticity means I wear a mask, right? That's
Straight
my
up.
level of authenticity, right? Is that I make a claim for privacy, right? Not secrecy. It's not about secrecy, right? I'm not trying to keep no secrets. I'm trying to maintain a boundary between my privacy and my confidentiality, right? Like my confidentiality exists with those that know who I am underneath the mask. My privacy exists for myself to have space to not have to feel as though I'm responding or being responsive to anyone, right? It's just for me, right? It's
Right.
me where I need my space. And that's me making an informed decision based off of watching and witnessing years of what it means to have that duality, what it means to have to walk and navigate in these many different pathways, right? Where, I'm free to be myself, but I know and understand we operate in a world that is not based off of my ideals. So I I'm gonna make what I can off of it and do what I can within it that's gonna make me feel better about not having the ideals that I see, right? Because that's what people oftentimes don't take into account is like, oh yeah, he's in a place of or position of importance or power. How does that play out? Right? How does that really exist? Like Why don't he do something with it? Why don't he make this move? Why, people question, there's another entertainer, right, from the East Coast who's from a projects that, you know, is become famous and synonymous with this person's name, right?
Right.
And every move this person makes is always scrutinized in the public view, right? And there's so many moves that are made outside of the public view that when it comes to the public view, people want to applaud and highlight. But it's also like that duality of like, well, he could do this and he could do that, but you don't even know who that person is and the base and structure of who they are and where they come from, because all you've gotten is what they've decided to give you,
Right.
right? All they've given you, whatever trauma they share, whatever situations, all they've given you is what they've decided to give you. Now, of course, people find little, nooks and crannies and little nuggets of information, but there's so much that a person's gone through and has been through that is so hard to make that discerning decision to say, you should do this, right? I mean, you could say it, we all have opinions, but really be thoughtful and mindful of like, well, what did it take for that person to end up in that position? And what am I going to do in my corner of the world that's going to see to the changes that I'm speaking of? Because
Right.
I believe in every single one of y'all, you can make a change. So with
Exactly.
that, I want to say someone who I feel like can make a change coming up right now, uh Lyrical One's, former co-host, because now he's off saving other universes and other planetary structures, but
He doing a
also a
lot.
lyrical opposition member, the great and incredible Fego Navarro. Can we have Fego Navarro come into the space?
Yes, yes, yes.
Came through with the
Welcome,
power
welcome,
fist.
welcome,
What
welcome,
up? What
welcome,
up?
Figo. It's so good to see you, brother.
Likewise. Thanks
How
for
you living?
having me, y'all.
Yeah, no, we love to have you on, man. We love it when you visit. It's good. We was actually just talking about you know, the difference between people being authentic, people being inauthentic, and it reminded me actually. You just dropped a video, um, kind of in the song Hollywood Hills kind of touches on that a little bit, um, on the the authenticity of celebrity or people, using a platform and sometimes they faking the funk. Can you tell us a little bit about the song and the video, brother?
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, initially it was like me meeting up with someone from my past, like someone I grew up with who's really in the mix out there in the Hollywood Hills, hence the title. And then I took a trip out there, kicked it with her, and she was telling me how like everything out there is kind of like this huge facade and a lot of like I almost felt like certain streets were like sets of movies, like
Mm,
people. And it's not to say that like, oh, you shouldn't, take pictures, but everything felt very like almost robotic in some ways. And yeah, she was just telling me, and like we're walking around, and she's like, yeah, everyone's fake here, and like there is this almost this like painful bitterness that she was carrying, yet she was, doing fairly well for herself, and literally staying at a really nice place. So part of the song is me questioning, like, I start off like, does anything really matter? Work your whole life so you could climb up a ladder. Like this idea of like, people, life goes into this one moment of like achieving this success, but at the end, are they truly happy? So it's me kind of like questioning all of that in this one day that I experienced kicking it with her.
nice. It's so interesting because I'm watching the video last week and I'm like, oh man, I hope we can get you on. And then here you are,
Uh,
you got a project that's coming out, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, escapism. Can you tell me about the escapism, man? I'm excited.
Right on. Yeah, I'm dropping that this Friday, April 30th. And yeah, man, feels it's been a labor of love and trying to just, overall like talk about all these different seasons of my life and yeah, and like put music behind it and hopefully folks get groove to it, could reflect on things and yeah, it's good to get stuff out your system and um, like I'll talk to Cindy. I've spoke to you too, Alex, about it, like how therapeutic it is to do art. So yeah, I'm excited for
Nice,
folks to hear it.
nice. With this expression, what do you hope folks get out of this project as they hear some of your reflections?
Yeah, I hope that they get maybe like a moment of understanding of like uh, pretty much being introspective, reflecting on their life. You know what I mean? Like I think everyone has their own particular path that they're taking. But I hope that it gets folks thinking about like what are the things I find important, and in this case specifically around relationships, I think it's interesting because I don't know. For me, it's just me like trying to. It's like an audio journal, so I'm also just being hella vulnerable and like open about just past experiences. So I think with any type of art, the hopes is to help someone, find maybe some understanding of their situation. Yeah.
Dope, dope.
So,
Now,
so what I want to know, sorry, Offline.
now
I
go
just
ahead,
want
go
to
ahead, go ahead. No, no.
the thing that I want to know, right? Me being blind, deaf, this project, was there a project before this project?
Yeah, there's been a few songs that I've released, and then the first project that really got the ball moving. That's how I got involved with lyrical opposition and doing shows. Was a project titled Heart of Man,
Heart of
and
Man.
yeah, that's like damn near a minute ago. So it
What
was
what
good.
what, what year was Heart of Man? What year did that come?
2017.
2017. So here we are now, 2021, right?
Yeah.
20 since then you have released a group of songs. In 2020 it seemed like what was 2020 like for you as an artist, right? Not just, and if it applies to who you are as a person, of course, but now I feel like 2017 you released this project. I'm looking right now at your track record as it exists in the common public's form, right? And it shows there's this jumping point where it's like, okay, the song Far to Go, right, seems like a turning point in Figo as an artist, right? If people listen to Heart of Man, you'll notice there's this kind of, you're speaking about a snapshot journal, a journal entry right into time. And I feel like in Heart of Man, you definitely were doing that because you're taking people on this journey of like almost like you're processing your own feelings and thoughts, right? As a therapy session that's ongoing, right? These different snapshots of who you are. And so now here we are, you're saying that you're continuing the story of you with more of these introspective, really critical viewpoints. But take me through the journey of Heart of Man up until now we're in escapism and the process of like, yeah, Heart of Man comes out, years pass by, Far to Go. What's up with Figo?
Mm. Yeah, no, right on for asking, man, and appreciate like you even taking the time to listen to, those songs from that time. And I mean, for those that tune in, like Cineo damn near has seen me grow up. So like there's that part, like when a lot of songs were just about a whole lot of different things and subject matter. So Heart of Man was like me coming to a place of like trying to like literally organize my thoughts, and that's why I began the project with talking to a therapist because I'm seeking help. And I always I always refer to that as like it was a time where I damn near was literally figuring out what was the next move. And I believe by the grace of God, even through that project, I was able to like really connect with folks in doing these shows. And um, you know, yeah, I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I had production from Cineo, I had production from my boy Tony Jazzo and King on the Beat, like folks that I grew up with were a part of that project with big tunes. And like it was nice to create something like from a space of, hey, these are my friends on this project. These are folks that I rock with. I've been rocking with for years, and I felt the need that I had to complete that project. You know what I mean? Like to move on to the next. And I wanted to show all the different sides of me, from like speaking on issues in society to like, oh, I'm in love with this girl. You know what I mean? So uh yeah, that's what Heart of Man was. And then my name is Miguel Angel Navarro. That's what, I'm the third. So, abbreviation Heart of Man is MAN. That's just it was a reminder for myself too. Like, hey, remember, like where you come from. Um and then moving forward, I love making music, man. So escapism, I'm like moving way forward. But I did a bunch of shows up to this point and singles that led to like, all right, let's try to push for something and be intentional. And even we've been having a lot of conversations back and forth. What would it look like to try to get connected with folks that to get it to a wider audience? So escapism is my shot of trying to like see where I could take it to the next level. And I'm proud of the music that I've created. So we'll see, having fun with it.
Nice.
Definitely. I mean, from the sound of things, it sounds like you got some the evolution of your sound. Was that intentional? Were you intentionally like, you know what? How do I grow? And how do I show that growth?
Yeah. I mean, far to go. Shout out to Della Paz. He's also part of the squad. Kid is incredible. Like, I mean, that chorus is, I feel like, really, people always talk about hooks being like what really make a song, and I think that kid is just like ahead of his time. I always brag about him, like it's my little brother. And that song was me like being like, just gonna rap over this guitar riff, and it's not gonna be your typical hip hop song. And I want to explore different genres. So working with artists like him, working with my boy Mally Q, I just want to show how versatile I am. So I could do like a song that's like acoustic led, like in another joint that's like Bay Area slapper. You know what I mean? Like I want to show all my different sides of personalities because I think I enjoy all those different genres too. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I love R&B. I love a lot of pop music. I love jazz. I love trap. Like it's just, yeah, I'm just trying to mix it all up, and hopefully folks could, you know what I mean? Catch one of them vibes.
No, definitely. I mean, it's crazy to see, from my position, like the this evolution of an artist, right? And I think that, for those listening, those that will listen, those that may come across this through time, like really take the time to check out some of the older works that you put out, but also like how did like the why the word escapism, right? Like why what importance does escapism hold for you, right? I feel like everybody's trying to escape something. So what are you trying to escape, and why did you pick this title?
Yeah. Escapism, you look up at the definition, is like, it's damn near all the stuff we grew up on. Like, and it's the comic books. It's the superheroes that we were trying to like escape from whatever situation we were dealing with at home. It's like, let me for a moment just imagine what would it be like to be Batman. I'm not saying the project's about me being a superhero, but what I'm trying to get at is like how we use different things to escape our current reality, And in the case of this project, it deals with different relationships, different vices, uh, yeah, just different things that and that I ran from to deal with what's internally happening. So yeah, I guess to summarize it, escapism is about trying to escape with the things that I'm dealing with inside, but having to come to grips of like, all right, this is what you gonna call it. This is who I am. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
yeah.
As soon as you escape, escapism, it's like, regardless of the definition, to me, my interpretation of it is it's a fleeting thing, right? It's something you do momentarily and then you're back to reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where whatever was waiting for you is going to be waiting for you, right? That's what I often say to people, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with people doing and deciding what they need for themselves. I do think there is harmful things that you could do to escape or find escapism.
Yeah.
And I'm not the one to say it's right or wrong, right? I will just say whether it causes me harm or not, I might need to distance myself. Doesn't mean you're wrong or right. Just means there's harm in what you choose to escape, how you're escaping, right? May impact me. And I choose for myself forms of escapism that are the least harmful or least impactful to my community, my friends, my family, my loved ones. And so that word hits different, especially after this time period of like, the world's changed. We just went through a rapid evolution, right? Everyone has a device that helps them find escapism more than ever, right? Not to mention all the vices outside of that. So it's just crazy that you like this. How long did it feel like you were putting this project together?
Yeah, I like that you mentioned that, and I forgot to mention that. Yeah, I mean, we've been living on Zoom, we've been living on social media, on Instagram, scrolling our life away. I mean, that I can't tell you how many times I'm like, yo, like what, where did time just go? I just like my thumb just been, you know? And yeah. And I think, yeah, there is this like constant need of like, you know, I always talk about this, man. I miss the old San Francisco, being on the 14 and just chopping it up with a stranger and being like, it felt like just a normal thing. Like you're just, hey, how's, you know, and that still happens, but you know, now we're wearing masks. Uh, and now like, let me just tune you out and just get on my phone. Cause I'm afraid to interact with you. Like, you know, this is something that we're dealing with from day to day now.
Yeah.
And it's easy to not want to interact with folks nowadays, you know. So I think the title, there's so many layers to it. You know, there's a line where I say, um, I've been killing time scrolling on my phone, looking at flights, maybe out to Rome, Barcelona. I'm a loner. You know what I mean? Like it's just this internal dialogue of like, I want to get out. Before the COVID pandemic hit, I was ready to take a trip to Europe. I was ready to get out, you know, and this need to escape, and not just escape, like you said, it's not necessarily got to be something that's like you know, affecting you. It's like genuinely like I want to see the world, I want to explore. So
Yeah.
there is layers to that title, and interesting enough, I think is relevant to the time we're living in.
No, definitely. I mean, I do find relevance in it. You know, your song, especially Hollywood Hills, because you're not only reflecting on what this person, this what you're witnessing this person go through, you're also reflecting on yourself, right? There's lines in there that I see are like really introspective to like not not being able, right, to be as present or relevant to who's in front of you, right? Like, what do you like when you see, right, this world of escapism? How much do you think that feeds into in our either ability or inability to connect, right? Do you
Mm,
see that? And does that show up again on the project?
mm. Yeah, that's good. um, yeah, I think I do touch on that, the fact that I'm like, each track, there's parts where it's almost like I'm glorifying the escapism, you know. I'm like, you know, we're at the party, this is lit, right, kind of scenario. And then the other part where it's like I just mentioned, like kind of feeling down and almost like this feeling of melancholy, you know. um,
Definitely.
and yeah, it's cool because, you know, the cool thing about music, I'm sure you relate to this, is like you go to those times where you wrote those pieces, you know. You're like, oh dang, I know exactly where I was at during that time. So uh, I find it to be healing too. I don't know if that necessarily answers the question, but yeah, I yeah, I don't know. That's what I got.
No, I feel it. I mean, because I think of how, you know, like for those that don't know, I'm gonna say it. You know, Fego Navarro on Instagram, check it out, right? But the reason why I'm saying that is because you actually posted the track list
Hmm.
of escapism, right? So people can see, right, these words. So I'm gonna go through and I want you to just give a brief interpretation without even talking up like it could be the song or it could just be what these words mean to you,
For
right?
sure.
So starting off with the intro, give thanks. What's up with
Hmm.
give thanks?
Give thanks. The sample is like this. I forgot her name, but it's a gospel joint, and she's talking about like giving thanks to God about like just for for everything. Um, and I put Adam Sandler doing stand up comedy when he was like 18 or 19, talking about how um, afraid he is to talk to pretty girls. Like he just gets nervous around them, and he says this joke in the beginning. I mean, I don't want to give it all away, but it's this like idea. The reason I put those two together was like, you know, we talk about, and I'm sure, I don't know if parents give you the story of how they met, but the idea of wanting a significant other in your life and wanting it to be like I want some divine intervention to have the right person in my life. So, and he makes this joke of like, I don't know, I want people to hear it, but it's pretty much like his boy's like, what's the worst that she could say? You know, go talk to her. And she's like, get away from me, loser. So it's also like this um, poking at the ego, because the ego wants to like appear like he got it together, but so it's kind of, it's this double meaning behind it. Like, you know, I'm just getting
Yeah.
experimental with
No.
it, and it
Oh
felt
yeah,
like
yeah.
it blended well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's no, I get that. Just that the idea of expectation, right, and
Uh-huh.
disappointment,
Yep.
and at the same time dealing with belonging and rejection. So yeah, so that's
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking forward
Shout out
to
to
it.
Adam Sandler. I hope I don't get sued.
To I mean, what I'm gonna say is right. These Disney movies gonna get y'all played, got y'all messed up. Y'all got these distorted perceptions of love. It's right. Like I feel you because people often say that, right? Like this is from the guy with a heart on his head, right? I'll keep that in mind. There's a reason why I have a heart on my head because I'm all about love. I'm all about love and peace. And I'm not saying I got it down, but I am saying that I have some practice with it, and I make it a point to put it first, which is why it's on my head, right?
Yeah.
And so belonging, companionship,
Mm-hmm.
partnership, having a relationship, right? One starts with you within. Just want to
Mm-hmm.
say that to people. Be mindful of that because y'all sitting up here thinking that you princesses and princes and y'all ain't slaying no dragons and y'all ain't up against no like life altering events. Like y'all gotta, you gotta deal with self, right? No one's gonna
Mm-hmm.
save you. No one's gonna come in and lightning ain't gonna strike. Cupid ain't gonna shoot you. You gotta work, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's work involved. And so, work starts with self. So
Yeah.
give thanks. I appreciate you letting me know that because I think that goes back to what I was saying about connection.
Mm-hmm.
Saturn's return,
I
right?
almost want to do like short things, but really cool song. I'm proud of it. We got John Gibbs, who's like a really dope R&B hip hop artist from San Diego, on the feature. Shout out to Lyrical Opposition for making it happen. Um, that song just came from talking to this girl I was interested in who was really into like astrology, and she spoke about Saturn's return being that time between like pushing your 30s and like the way she described it was like everything you've done up to this point is going to lead to because she described it as like you're in your Saturn's return, like it was just interesting, and I just thought it was a cool title because I was like, well, what does that even mean? And I looked into it and then I was like, what would it be to describe what that means to me during this time in my life? So that's where that came from.
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, yeah, Saturn's return to me sounds like everybody gonna well, hopefully we all get the chance to go through it. Okay, that's it's different for different folks for different
Remember,
reasons.
remember,
But
there's averages and statistics and numbers where folks don't just don't get past 27.
Yeah.
yeah, so blessings if you do, right? And and even if you make it past 27 and nothing affects you, well, come holler at us on here on Lyrical Ones. We're gonna have a conversation about who you are and why ain't nothing affecting you. So, furthermore, what is this? Cafe Con Leche?
Mm-hmm.
What's up with that?
Man, that's me
Hey,
trying to put some Latin flavor, represent my roots. And I picked coffee with my grandfather when I was a kid, and it's back to that same theme of like wanting like a real love. You talk about this other singer named Miguel. He's pretty cool. I like him. Um, he has that song "Coffee in the Morning," and this whole idea of having like a partner that you wake up and have coffee with. So Cafe Con Leche's got a good groove to it. I like it. So it's probably my favorite song in the project.
That's what's up. Cafe Con Leche.
Hmm.
Get your cup. Get some caffeine
Yeah.
in the morning, evening, when you see fit. Right? There's for those that are acquainted to Grand Theft Auto, hot coffee. For those that are acquainted to uh, what's my boy's name? Luke Cage.
CJ.
CJ, but Luke Cage as well. Remember coffee? You want to get some coffee?
Oh yeah,
Remember
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
cafe con leche,
Cafe Con
He
cafe,
was
Leche.
cafe con leche. So
he was having
now that
regular
brings
coffee.
he was getting coffee on the regular for real, for real. CJ not so much because again it was up to you to decide if that hot coffee was on, if you was gonna get it or
I
not.
gotta see it. I don't even know what's going on.
Oh, bruh, you gonna find out. Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I
That's
just
good.
hijacked anything that you even thought your song was gonna mean
we
because it means
we
something
gonna
now.
catch you
I
up.
think there's many layers, man. That's the cool thing about music. It's like, people interpret it as they will.
Yeah, about art, right? Art, whether that's art in life, art in school,
Hmm.
or art in the many different platforms and practices and disciplines. martial arts as well.
Yes.
Number 4. You already spoke about Hollywood Hills, but just to kind of gloss over it again, right? What on a brief scale, Hollywood Hills? Like, what does even that term mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone wants to have like a spot with a really nice view, and in entertainment business, Hollywood Hills is where a lot of these entertainers end up living at. But, everything you see ain't really what it seems, and Hollywood Hills is like this idea of like you may be in love with an illusion of things. And yeah, man. But it's
That's
a cool,
good.
like, that's an interest. Oh, I'm sorry, Alex, go ahead.
Oh no, no, no. I was gonna say there's another GTA 5 reference.
Oh, word.
Where yeah, like a former bank robber, enters the witness protection, and ends up living in the Hollywood Hills. They give him a certain amount of money, and he's got a wife who's cheating on him with her
Mm,
tennis instructor, and he's got a daughter who's been hanging out with adult film stars, and he's got a son who is stolen his boat and had his boat stolen by gangsters, but he lives in this nice place with a pool and a tennis court,
mm-hmm,
right? And you would think that according to his location that that he's well off and things are going well,
mm-hmm.
but we enter the story like that. And so it, as I watch the video and then I listen to the track, the first offering, I'm reminded of that.
Right on.
Hollywood Hills, y'all. It ain't what it seems.
Mm-hmm.
My dear, number 5, my dear.
Mm. Yeah, that one's actually damn near in the beginning of the
Hey,
pandemic.
that's a
Right on,
slap.
man. Appreciate that.
It's
Yeah,
still vibe.
right on, man. I want to perform that one, man. That feels like just wanting to have like a cool little 2-step vibe to a song, something I would want to be able to perform. And it's actually about the person portion of it is about the person I'm currently seeing. So she is my dear, and
Word.
yeah, man. That came from like a real space where I was at. It was the beginning of the pandemic, and I met this awesome, amazing, partner that I'm rocking with right now. Yeah.
Yeah, no, my dear is like, man, like, like you taking it there. Like, I ain't saying it because you my boy, because it's a lot of people who I love, but I can't tell them they taking it there. And that song, like, I remember when you sent me the first version of it, right? And I was like, this what we doing now? Well, I got some work to do, right? Like, I gotta go and find myself now in this current era and form, right? Because it's like when like you think of a song, like, we have these conversations, just to interject for a second, of like, if you're gonna make a song, does it move you, right?
Mm.
Does it move you emotionally? Does it move your intellect? Or does it make your body want to move? And I felt like with this song, you hit all of that, right? You're hitting so many different things at one time, right? Like, when I say the term my dear, and Alfluent's first reaction is he starts to move, right? And I'm like, you know what? Let me go and play it real quick just to get that juice that it gives you as soon as you hear that first little melodic with the sample coming in, and you're like, yo, please, right? Like, this Friday, it's so important, right? Like, I'm sick and tired of people talking about the good old days and the golden era, whatever. Like,
Tell him Sway.
y'all gotta get it together now. And not
Tell him Sway.
don't wait till somebody comes and co-signs Figo, and then it's like, oh, he's from the city, and Dr. Dre wants him, and now he's cool. Like, look, don't be phony, right? Like, don't, if you really from the sucker free city, then this is a chance for you to show up and let it be known that it's sucker free, right? Because if not, this is super sucker on all y'all to not support this project, because My Dear alone, like that song, like if I don't hear that in the cars, in the freeway, if I don't see, like if as soon as y'all start to have your little get-togethers and your little cookouts and I hear the boombox blasting and y'all ain't playing My Dear, come, what is y'all doing? What are y'all
Oh
doing?
man, that's love.
Right?
Appreciate.
Y'all dead inside if you don't play this song. Y'all ain't got no heart. That's what it is. Okay, and that's okay, because you could get one and then you can start to play it. But I'm just saying, like, My Dear, My Dear, right? I ain't heard the whole project. I just heard bits and pieces. And My
No, right on.
Dear, oh my, y'all wild out here. I don't know what's wrong with y'all. I don't want to hear nothing about, oh, you know, the city this, the city. It's there's so many different dimensions to us all, and Figo is definitely represented for people who are in resistance to all forms of struggle. Like that's what I get from your songs and your music, right?
Right
You're
on.
not one to say like I'm surviving and I gotta lose my moral compass. You're one to say, how does my faith and what I believe in stand true no matter what's in front of me, right?
Mhm.
How do I hold true to that and not compromise and not budge my integrity, right? And I think that's so important, because as much as it's important for someone to show how ugly it can get when you need to survive, I think it's also important to see that there's people who are able to survive and still maintain their own moral compass.
Yeah.
Not to be a to dictate on others, but to let them know, like, challenge yourself if it needs to be a challenge, right? Push just a little bit harder if you can. Hold on a little bit stronger. Just whatever you can do, because there's people out here who are doing it. And My Dear, My Dear, My Dear, My Dear,
My
it's
dear,
just like
you're
Figo's doing it.
right on, man. Appreciate
So, you know, I had to get a little
Appreciate y'all.
intersection on number 5. So number 6, Late Night.
you. Late night, back to that whole piece of like going to a time where it takes you to a specific time. I mean, it's legit feeling lonely as hell, man. And I legit I had like Tinder for like for like less than a week, and swipe left, swipe right. Is this all we got? Happy New Year. City full of robots, and I'm all alone, staring at the clock like tick and tock. My cousin, like it's just me feeling lonely as hell. And shout out to Melindy Walker. She's an incredible singer, guitarist, photographer. She's on the record. She's singing the chorus with me. I try to sing on it, like, but it came from a space of feeling lonely and thinking about a special someone from the past, or not even a specific person but a feeling, you know chasing that nostalgic feeling of like, oh, remember how when you felt this,
Right.
yeah, that's what late night. And I think everyone gets hit with that sometimes, when folks be up late thinking about their life, and so memories will just kick in. So that was me trying to tap into that, and I love that. I love that song.
Oh, that's real. That's real. You right about them late nights, man. We out
Hmm.
here the late night. It ain't no Johnny Carson, no David Letterman, none of that.
Yeah.
Okay? There ain't none of that Jimmy Fallon. It's cognitive hours.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um
And the record is like that. It's like very airy, and like, I don't know. I feel like musically it matches the
oh
title.
yeah.
Yeah.
When you got to take them late night strolls one time for the one time.
Yeah, man.
The late night
Um
drives.
for
Hmm. Hmm.
real. Yeah, for real. All them the street lights be all orange.
Exactly.
They be all
Yeah, man. If I
orange.
could describe a mood for it, that's it. That's the picture for it. Yeah.
Street lights be orange, okay? Like orange street lights. We ain't talking about them white ones with the LEDs. We talking about them ones that
Them
flicker
them
and be like,
Yeah,
PCH them
yeah.
PCH
Yep.
in front of Ocean Beach.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
for real. Let's
That's
just
it.
go. Let's do a smooth 35 till we hit our destination.
Hmm.
WYD.
Yeah. What you doing? Shout out to Mally Q and Desmac. They're on there.
Hey,
A little more upbeat. It's kind of like really trying to tap into like R&B ish hip hop feel to it, and it's the reflecting on when you think like, I was just in a space where like, oh, this may not work out. So uh, this interaction we're having of you trying to check up on me, like how real is it? You ask me
yeah,
what I'm up to, but like, where is this going after that? Is this just momentarily? Is this just temporary? Or is this something that I'm not in that stage no more. I'm just like kicking it just to kick it. Um, yeah, that's where that came from.
Okay,
And then
okay.
Mally and Des, they took their interpretation of that. So
Nice.
That's what's up.
yeah.
That's what's up. And so that brings me to the final track on the project,
Mm-hmm.
Signs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
What's
man,
up
you
with
were there.
Signs?
Signs was it's like a I'm a big fan of like a lot of music where they incorporate live performances on the project. So that's like a live performance that was captured, the audio of it, and it was at the Berkeley Art Museum, Pacific Archive Film Museum. So it was like a really cool
Hey,
experience where I got to rock
I
the
was at that
scene.
show. I was at that show. I was at that show.
Yeah, man. So we got the joint that's on there is Britney singing on it, and it was like kind of just real slow down too on that one, and I feel like it summarizes all the other tracks, if that makes sense, and
Nice.
it speaks on um, yeah, I feel like it almost summarizes escapism, so that's why I chose to have that be the last track. Um,
Nice.
yeah, so if I were to describe that one, it's like, all right, this is the summary of what all those other songs are about.
Nice. And we've had B spoken on the show on the podcast a few times. And so
Yeah, shout out to Bespoke. Shout out to Senio was there too. You was there. Osborne. Just yeah, it was a fam situation.
nice.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Cool.
it was an incredible show that was like so well thought out, so well produced, right? It ended up, there was a lot of challenges in that production, and you overcame it like a boss. You were able to see through, right? Not in the dictator way, but in really trying to help everyone own their position and their role and give them the space to to feel validated and valued in the moment. Like you did a really good job of like really giving people space to like feel valued. And I just want to say that because it's important that, when we say a leader or a boss, right, you're not doing it to like have people follow. You're trying to have people so they can lead themselves. And you did that. You did that in the show, in this performance. And so I feel like this version of the song really encompasses that energy around everyone in the moment. And so, this project, right, is coming out this Friday, right?
Yes, sir.
This Friday, right? I want everyone to go and listen to Escapism. A couple of the songs that we've discussed in the project, such as My Dear and What You Doing, they're available now, right? Like you can
Mm-hmm.
listen to them. They're on streaming platforms. Go and listen to those songs. If you're trying to turn up, What You Doing, if you want something that's more groovy and get you in touch with yourself, My Dear, y'all don't sleep on the song. And this Friday, Escapism is coming out. It is out on Friday, so please bump that, listen to it, give him them streams because they trying to play us out here with these checks. So again, Figo, thank you for being here with us. We appreciate you. As much as we want to hold you hostage and not let you go, we understand you got to go and save different worlds and support all those that need your help. So
Right on.
Figo, congratulations on another project. It's incredible.
Thank you,
And
brother.
yeah, thank you.
Man,
Love you, man.
appreciate y'all, man. Thank you for always supporting and doing what y'all do because the consistency, bruh, just know I tap in, and a lot of times it's like a lot of the episodes have actually just helped me out throughout my day, just to be in a state of reflecting. And it's crazy. Like I'll be in the car with my girl, and they'll be like, "Yeah, it's my friends chopping it up on there," and it's just I'm honored to know you guys as well, and I appreciate you.
Thank you,
I mean,
brother. Love you,
it's
man.
an honor. Love you,
Love you,
and
bro.
be
No
well.
doubt.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace, peace.
April 30th. Escapism. Fego Navarro.
Yeah, April 30th. Y'all gotta go. Y'all gotta go. Connect with the boy. Get involved. It's a good project. You won't be disappointed, right? You won't have to feel like you faking the funk in an era where everyone's trying to put on a facade. Sometimes you need something that's more reflective of the truth and honesty. And it's not to say it's missing any creative merit because he goes in as a lyricist and a songwriter. He goes. So bump that Figo this Friday. Affluent. Any lasting thoughts? Anything you want to get to people? Anything you want to lead them with as we get to the end of episode 47 of the Lyrical Ones podcast?
I think it's really fitting that we were able to get Figo on, pre-project release. Um, because as an artist, he shows up exactly as who he is as a person. Um, Introspective, empathetic, um, and definitely a leader. And I think he does something well as a leader, um, where he's a learner as well, right? He's really good at pulling out information to grow from. He I think he does that so well, and he learns from it by example as well. So like when at times he's been the big homie, and then at times he's been the little homie, and then when he's the little homie, he takes what he learns from his big homies and then passes it on to his little homies. And I think he does that like impeccably well, as a person and as an artist. And it's really great to see him, flow into his, big homie stage, where as an artist, he's, bringing people on. And at the same time, he always, like, you'll never find, someone, more respectful. But at the same time, very stern and solidified in who he is as a person and his standards and his morals and integrity. Uh, because there's things that he works on, right? It's like the doubt that he may have internally is something that he's always fortifying and strengthening, within himself. And, we all have doubt, but everybody, doesn't attack it head on to say, what am I going to do with this, whether I hold on to it or not. And his is just like this meat grinder. It's like he puts it in and brings out something fruitful, especially in his art. So yeah, it's really great that, we could have him on, just for a moment to really share that. And I think it's a great way to, round out this month of wild things going on. As we end April and, move into the rest of spring, hopefully these flowers really come through after, a different type of showers, really like tears, to some degree, in April. And so as we finish with these showers, like I just hope people really look forward to the growth from the storm, and that when water comes, it represents life, that it cleanses, that it heals, and that it nurtures. And the water comes from up above, and it's God's way of giving us what we need, especially as humans. When we 70% water, like we need more of it. So stay hydrated, especially if you've been crying, y'all. Don't stay dehydrated.
For real, for real. Hydration is key. It's necessary. Don't doubt the power of water. Um, Especially as they just declared California's in a drought. Y'all keep eating
Back
them
at it again.
almonds. Y'all
Back
keep
at it
eating them
again.
almonds. Okay. Let's keep holding up to them old water rights from 1918. That really like, yeah, we just supposed to keep it up, right? We don't need to renegotiate, rethink, or there was nothing done in the past that we need to really touch on to change for the future. Nah, we in a drought. We in a drought. We in a drought.
It's
We in a
wild. So like
drought.
for 5 years or more, all the public fountains in California was off. All the fountains was off. And then a few weeks ago, I go out to OSHA Thai restaurant in Embarcadero, and the fountain is on. It's not all the way on, just some, but right there, the Embarcadero's at Justin Herman Plaza, whatever the plaza is down there at the Embarcadero, right across from the ferry building, whatever that plaza is.
Yeah, whatever they called it.
Yeah, whatever they named it, whoever they named it after. Um, the fountain was on. And I was like, oh dang. I remember when all the fountains was off. But guess what? We're back in a drought. So uh, do what you can to stay hydrated for real, because it is key for your energy, for your focus, for your digestion, for your metabolism. And when you're dehydrated, you'll think you need sleep, and really you just may need water.
Man,
Fatigue is one of it's like sometimes you think you need rest, and really you may just need fuel. I always equate water to being like not gas, but more like the oil for an engine in a car.
ain't that the
And
truth?
and when you got more and more miles on the engine, you got to start to check those oil levels to make sure that you got what you need before you just drive off. You got to, check the dipstick in the oil and see where you at. First, you got to wipe it off. You got to do it when it's cold, because when you do it when it's hot, it's telling you a lie. So remember, drink your water in the morning to get your body started, get your digestion started. That's my tip to round out the month, to round out this episode. I'm so happy. I'm looking forward. I'm hopeful for the year. As we finish this first quarter, or what is this? Not the quarter, but what's the first third of the year. It's I'm excited, for what's to come. The dialogues are happening for change. It's been great things happening, I think, in policy and legislation, and I want to talk about those things next week as we go on in the May.
For real, for real.
I want to talk about some good things happening in government, not just the change that we want, but also the change that we can see.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So look forward to episode 48 as we conclude episode 47 of the Lyrical Ones podcast, as we often like to do at this time. I mean, you could throw your hands in the sky if you want to, but it's up to you. WP in the building.
One.